so hard to kind
There's
of
so
like
many
make up
things.
an example, but I'll tell you this, and we could talk about screening clients and what you should think about when you're talking to a lawyer for days, frankly, and I don't think it's enough time here today. One of the best questions that I've learned to ask is, what are they going to say you did wrong?
I love that. Yeah.
And if you really, and again, now put yourself into the shoes of the person that's calling the lawyer to try to explain the story. Put yourself into the shoes of the person you're threatening to sue. What are they going to say you did wrong? Why are they going to say they did what they did? And look, in some cases, it's completely unredeemable. The person stole your money, and that's open and shut, right?
Right.
But there's some cases where you think that they did something wrong, but you're not really grasping or not being, self-aware of their side of the story, and you're just kind of knee deep in your side of the story. And we as lawyers, we see that so much, and it's really hard to deal with. And you really have to, as a lawyer now, screen for it, because again, you could be halfway into a lawsuit before you realize that your client lied to you.
Right.
Or that your client, maybe they didn't lie to you. Maybe it wasn't, intentional. Or your client maybe just didn't understand the contract. Or maybe your client didn't understand what their obligations were. Or maybe your client, was indecisive and didn't realize that would cost them more money. And there's so many different things like that pop up that it's so hard to just nail one down.
I imagine that there's a whole subset of folks that don't have a ton of experience in the legal space, hopefully, fortunately, right? And then they're encountering this situation. They go to an attorney, and all of a sudden they feel like the attorney's grilling them, right? You're supposed to be supporting me. Why are you asking me all these questions? Right? And I think that it's a great mindset shift for folks to have when they're walking into that situation to go, my attorney's job is to represent me. And the best way to do that is if they can take both sides of the story and meld it together into a story that benefits me, right? The probability is not 100% of winning in most of these cases. And that means that there's gray area. And if there's gray area, that attorney needs to know how to navigate that gray area. So if you're going into the situation emotional, stressed, you're going to your attorney going, this is what I need you to do, and this is how I need you to do it. I think that if you're already entrusting the attorney with your case, you need to entrust them with how they represent you. And part of that is vetting the person. Now, I think the reverse side of that I want to mention is, if your attorney's not doing those things, if your attorney's not asking you tough questions, if the attorney's not making you put on our, pretend thinking caps and pretend we're the opposite party and what are they going to say about you, if they're not asking those questions, that should be a red flag that, hey, this person may not be as concerned with closing this case up quickly, or just may not be that great at what they do. And is what I'm getting from this.
I think we call them good facts and bad facts. And I think that people are really hesitant to tell their attorneys the bad facts because they're afraid that either the attorney won't take on the case or that the attorney is going to do a bad job because they now know this. And I've been in situations where I find out the bad facts from the other side. And so there's a lot to be unpacked here. Number one, we are not criminal attorneys. We are civil attorneys. So I want to know the bad facts. I want to know if you did it. Right? I'm not talking bad about criminal attorneys. I love criminal attorneys, but
they have a different responsibility. I think there's nothing negative about that. It's in that situation, there's, I guess, a different approach to how they're
and I'm not saying that's even their approach.
Right.
I'm just saying that I want to know the bad facts. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, when you are at the end of the road and you're in front of a jury, right? Assuming you have a big, huge, super huge case, it's $1 million case, you're not going to settle it, you're going to go to a lawyer, you're going to sue, you're going to do all this stuff. When you're in front of a jury, there's two huge things you have to think about. Number one, people can see right through you. You might not think that they can, but they can, and they might not know that they can, but they get a feeling about you. And especially when you're sitting in front of 8 jurors or 12 jurors, those people see right through you. And so if you're hiding the bad facts, they see through that. They might not consciously know that they're seeing, but they know that there's something off about you. And they know that there's something off about what you're saying. And if the other side knows that bad fact, they are going to rub your nose in it so hard. And then after you're done presenting your case and they start rubbing your nose in it, now you look horrible.
Right. It's much better to be able to have addressed it.
So you lead with the bad facts. That's what I'm getting at. You have to acknowledge that you have bad facts or a bad fact, and you have to say, look, I know that I did this wrong, or I know that this doesn't go in my favor, but look at all of these other things that do. And think about,
it's like Eminem in 8 Mile. Like
Right.
that's how
Yes.
he wins the rap battle.
Yes,
He
exactly.
opens with the bad facts. This is everything you're going to say about me, but I'm still, but
Great
I
life
still have a
lesson.
case.
Great life lesson. That's exactly what it is, especially when you're in front of a jury, and even more so when you're in front of a judge. Because again, and I've been there so many times. So there's a jury trial, right? That's when the jury of your peers decides your fate, and then there's a bench trial when the judge decides your fate. And so a jury is 12 individuals or 8 individuals. Some places use 6. The jury looks at your case, and most people that are a jury are, regular folk that don't spend all day listening to disputes and don't spend all day, with the law and resolving it. So you might be able to slip something by them. You're not slipping something by the judge. The judge looks at you because the judge sees this story that you're telling all day, every day, for years, literally. And now you're the guy that's going to tell him a lie that he's not going to see through.
Right.
You got to lead with the bad facts. You got to know how to answer the bad facts. And when you're talking to a lawyer for the first time, if you have a bad hand for whatever reason, you should be upfront about that, because lawyers will also become disenfranchised with you if you've lied or concealed something that they then find out about after they've spent a bunch of time and money and effort on your case. It's like, well, why didn't you tell me this on day one?
Well, I imagine too, there's a little bit of, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but there's a little bit of ego. You want to win. And if you're taking on a case, right, you want those wins to be
course.
higher than your losses. And so if you're being hamstrung by your own client, keeping things from you or not being fully honest, it's like, yeah, you might be a little bit frustrated. And now you're creating this whole paradigm where you don't have a good relationship with the attorney potentially. And I know that you might say, well, I'm hiring him. That's his job. Figure it out. But we're humans, and that's part of it, right?
But
that
I'm hiring him, it's his job, figure it out. I need to know so that I could figure it out.
Right.
Right. And it also
mom
goes,
spaghetti.
it also goes towards settlement.